Straight ahead on the drift, our old project boat is on course to getting a whole new look as we bring that tired, oxidized hull back to life. Plus, Mr. Yachts is stepping aboard a luxury go-fast rib, where high performance meets first-class comfort. We're at the helm with BoatUS, breaking down the warning signs your outboard may be trying to tell you before trouble leaves you drifting. And we uncover the legend of rum runner boats. Did they really run rum? Also, we drift above this jewel on the Hudson. It's as legendary as the river itself. Hello and welcome to the social place for boaters, The Drift. I'm your host, Sierra Goodwill. Let's drift sociably. Let's catch up with our project boat. We're headed to Full Keel Marine, where the upgrades on our old Aquasport 225 are moving right along. This time, we explore some ideas on how to bring our faded hull back to life.
The Whisper Gray on this North Coast, amazing.
Yeah, great color, beautiful color. This is the Whisper Gray North Coast 315 HT. As you can see, it provides such a nice finish. The lighter colors are, in my opinion, much better. As you can see with the darker hulls, you're going to get the fading, you got a lot more imperfection, and God forbid you scratch it, it stands out much, much more.
Now, we've done so much to our project boat, right? Rub rails and really getting this cleaned up interior and the like. Should we paint the hull?
You know,
what's the best way to go?
That's a great question. If you like this color, with the products today in the world of wrapping hulls and wrapping boats, it'd be a really good alternative.
So we're wrapping just like they wrap sports cars?
Yeah, sports cars, vans, contractors. The wrap is really, it's a great product, and we've done multiple.
I like it. Let's take a look at what we can do to our old girl over here.
All right.
So John, here it is, that oxidation that you talked about, those years and years of get it good in the spring, but 3 or 4 weeks it's back to this again. There's no bringing this back, right?
Yeah, no, it's a common problem. I think with the age and everything, we're definitely at the end of life.
So what's the process? Does this get sanded down a bit? Obviously you have to take care of these little blemishes, little cracks, right, before a wrap goes on?
Absolutely. So, great question. So in the world of painting, right, there's a term, if you can feel it, you can see it. So even the littlest little imperfection, let's say we're doing an all-craft job or something to that effect, if you can feel something, you're going to see it. So anything like this, you got a ridge here. This is obviously an old, just temp repair. That's going to get sanded out, smooth, flat, and then we just we kind of know what to feel for to fill, and then we know what will get covered, without being a major issue. And also, like anything, the lighter the color, the less you see.
Right. So you recommend a lighter color, like that North Coast, which is amazing.
Absolutely.
Show less imperfections, sort of like the classic cars, right? A black car is
going to show you everything.
So John, how about this thing? This is pretty significant. You can't wrap over that, right?
No,
that's going to show right through the wrap.
Absolutely, yep. So that's definitely a qualifier for a vinyl ester filler, a little fair back, sandback. But the beauty is with going under the wrap, then you're not doing anything with color matching, anything like that. So we want to get rid of, you get these real finer hairline cracks, you can go over that. That's no problem. You get anything deeper, more gouging, etc., you got to take care of that before you get the wrap on top of it.
So it's a great way to hide this spider cracking here.
The fine spider cracking.
Go right over that.
It's going to go over that. It's going to lay over it, and it does well.
Now with our wrap artist, we'll call him a wrap artist, right? Would he want the rub rail on first, or do you want to do it before the rub rail, do you think?
Yeah, no, in this circumstance, and I believe he would rather have this naked, no rub rail, and get it wrapped, get it covered, then we'd throw the rub rail on top of that. That would just be the best course of getting everything hidden and seeing no seams.
So the wrap is applied with heat, and it comes into all of these crevices? Yeah,
it's amazing when they're wrapping. I mean, heat is a factor. You need as warm as atmosphere as you can get, and then they also are using a heat gun to work the product through, and it's quite impressive to see how they do it. It's a really, really fine craft.
Thanks to our project boat partners at Full Keel Marine, our old boat is finding a new life. We love it. And as always, you can find more Project Boat at driftsociably.com and at driftsociably on social media, and find the full Project Boat series on our YouTube channel at driftsociably. And now you can get the drift anytime on our social platforms at driftsociably, on the web at driftsociably.com, and catch full episodes on our YouTube channel at driftsociably. Catch the drift in long form with the Drift Podcast, available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you catch your favorite podcast. Like, follow, share, subscribe, and drift sociably with the Drift, the social place for boaters. Ahead, is your outboard trying to tell you something? We'll show you the telltale signs before it leaves you drifting. On the Drift, the social place for boaters.
The Drift is brought to you by BoatUS, Sociable, and Subaru of New England. At the Helm is brought to you by BoatUS. Better boating starts here.
Welcome back to the social place for boaters, the Drift, and our friends from BoatUS are once again at the helm. And our friend Lenny Rudo is back with what you should look for when your outboard is idling.
That stream of water right there, that's called the telltale. And that tells us that the water pump is pulling raw water up, circulating it through the power head, and then putting it back out. This is how the engine maintains its operating temperature. So it's critical that we see that water flowing. Here we see an outboard that's idling, but no water's coming out of the telltale. Anytime you see this instead of that, it's a red flag. Your outboard needs attention. Now, this is my boat. I run it all the time, and I noticed a few weeks ago that the telltale was getting weaker and weaker. Then the last time I ran it, I noticed that at idle, it wasn't producing water at all. Great timing for this video, right? But it really is, because it also gives us a chance to show you the first thing you should do when you notice there's no water coming out of the telltale. Rev the engine. If the water pump is on the weak side, or maybe beginning to go bad, a little bit more water pressure rolling through there when you rev the engine up should get the telltale, to start pumping. The fact that I can rev the engine and get water pumping out of there tells me that I don't have to call for a tow yet. This is still cooling the engine as I'm running the boat. Now, just as a side note, I wouldn't want to idle forever like that. I'd want to make sure that I get some time periods where that water's pumping, where the engine will overheat. Now, there's another possibility here to chase down, people. If it's not pumping at all, there is some possibility that an insect built a nest inside of that tube. It happens. Also, sometimes if you run aground, the water pump may suck up some mud or detritus that might work its way up into the telltale and then get stuck in there. So, to find out if it's merely clogged, what you need is a piece of stiff fishing line, 50, 60-pound fluorocarbon, something like that. Look, I came prepared. And then, get down to the telltale, insert it, and slide it in. As you slide it, spin it between your fingers. Oops, spun a little too hard. As you slide it in, spin it between your fingers if it stops. And you can work it all the way in like that. All right, now let's see if it worked. Nope, which I kind of knew because, again, when I rev, it is pumping. Normally, this will clear you up if it's not coming out at all, regardless of whether or not you're revving the engine. So what's next? Well, unfortunately, I probably need a new water pump in this engine. Now, don't forget, if you're running for a short distance, you may be able to shut the engine down, let it cool off, maybe pull off the cowl if the conditions are appropriate. Obviously, the sea conditions will matter a lot in just how you're going to handle the situation, but sometimes you can get back to the dock by running for short distances, shutting down the motor, letting it cool, and then starting up and going again. If not, or if you smell anything burning, which is an indication that you're starting to melt hoses and pieces in the motor, well, in that case, it's time to pull out the BoatUS app.
Better boating starts at BoatUS.com. Visit them for more helpful boating tips. Straight ahead on the Drift, they ran the rum. Or did they? We uncover the legends of the Rum Runner boats and a luxury rib that looks like $1 million. And it should. Right here on The Drift, the social place for boaters.
Hey Drifters, now there's a place where the Drift is always on. Check out our YouTube page at Drift Sociably. Find full episodes and your favorite Drift features. That's Drift Sociably on YouTube, the social place for boaters. And be sure to drop anchor on that subscribe button for us. Get the drift?
Welcome back to the social place for boaters, The Drift. Now let's drift into Newport, Rhode Island, where we catch up with Peter Needham from CH Marine, the co-owner of the company behind the Shelter Island Runabout. These boats echo the classic Rum Runner style.
Now, Peter, you're not old enough to know a Run Runner.
No.
You've got a story about Run Runner.
Yeah, when we started at the yard, there was an old timer there that was part of that whole, prohibition stuff. And he told me, which was a shock, that the Rum Runners actually didn't transport rum. They went out, they were fast boats, they went out and had the revenue cutters would see them and they'd take off. And they'd take the revenue cutters away from the supply ship. The revenue cutter would just keep chasing them. And then the little boats would come out from shore and unload all the alcohol and bring it into shore. So that was something.
They were decoys.
They were decoys, yep. They were fast. So the revenue cutters, they could take them for miles and miles and miles and get them, clear out of the area. He took a case of booze, and while they were unloading, he hid it underneath the dock. And he went back and got it and sold it, and he bought a Rolex watch with the money that he got for the case of booze. And he's really proud of that Rolex watch.
I would be too.
That's kind of cool.
What I love about these designs is they're timeless. You wouldn't know whether this boat was built in 1930 or built yesterday.
Yeah, it's a classic style that I don't think is going to go out of style. It's just, it's a beautiful boat.
Tell me about the hull design.
The origins was working with Billy Joel. He wanted a boat that would cruise at 40 knots. He wanted to run back and forth from his house in Center Island to Manhattan. And so he wanted 40 knots. And that's how the design came about. That's why it's narrow. We wanted it to be able to go smoothly in waves. The Long Island Sound gets a really short chop. So we have a very knife bow to cut through that chop. In some ways, it's a lot similar to the Rum Runner boats.
For the full tour of this and other fabulous floating wonders, visit driftsociably.com and at Drift Sociably on social media. Did you know that our own Mr. Yachts, Nick Cardoza, spends most of his time where the mega yachts are?
Hey guys, Nick Cardoza with Mr. Yachts, and I want to show you this Chaser 500. This is a 50-foot high-performance rib that you gotta check out. Made in Holland, one of the nicest ribs I've seen in a long time. Come check it out. Rib standpoint, and that stands for rigid inflatable boat, which means you've got a hard hull underneath, rigid hull, and pontoons on either side. And you've got a lot of stability, really good performance because it's lightweight, efficient, and you've got the hull in the middle, the deep V hull that cuts through the waves with the air that keeps it on top. So, what makes these boats really special? Well, first of all, they're 50 feet. Which is an enormous size for a rib. And this whole layout can be reconfigured to how you want. It could be a really big sun pad. You can have an additional cabin underneath. But what I like about the construction when they explained everything to me is, so for example, I'll show you this. The tubes are slip-on, which means if they get damaged or they need to be repaired or replaced, all you have to do is slide them off and you can slide them back on. That's a really good feature. Because if the tubes go bad, you don't have to get a new boat, you just replace the tubes. So that's very smart. And look how they designed the cushions. They're very ergonomic, so when you're leaning back, it's not a right angle. It just feels really good being on this boat. And let me show you something that I really appreciate from a boater's perspective. So you really don't want to have lines touching your tubes because it can damage them. So what they've done here is they've added this post so that you can tie up your lines, tie up your bow without having to tie cleats, with the lines rubbing against and chafing the tubes. And they put the navigation lights up here, Lopo lights, which are the best, which is a great place because they're the most visible here. Let's talk about layout. You've got the big U-shaped couches here, which face aft, and you've got the running couch here, because this is where you want to be when you're going 50 miles an hour, because that's awesome. And of course, the sun pad up here. All right, so coming to the Helm, I love the simplicity of this boat because you just don't want to overcomplicate things, and they don't need to be so complicated. So you've got a really cool carbon fiber steering wheel, which feels really light. You've got the suicide knob, so you can really spin it, and you can take these really tight turns. This thing handles like a jet ski or like a fighter jet. Take your pick, because, I mean, it's a wild ride. Now let's take a quick look at the interior. Okay, so like I said before, there's different configurations with this boat. You could configure it with a much larger cabin, have a bigger sun pad up above. The way this one was built was great because you've got two little couches here. There's a cushion that comes in the middle. You can actually convert this whole area into a bed, and you've got a full head here. So, I mean, it's like a mini condo. It's very cool. Moving back into the aft cockpit, you've got two fridges underneath, which is great for keeping your drinks cold. Seating for 6 with a high-low table that actually converts into a sun pad too if you put it down, which is really cool. And it's hard to show you on the video, but the sound system on this thing really bumps. When you've got 8 subwoofers and a bunch of kickers, I mean, they really soup this thing up to have a good time. You've got 3 400 horsepower Merc racing engines on the back, so the thing flies. Considering the low maintenance, I mean, I'd argue to say that, you know, this is probably one of the ideal boats to have, especially in South Florida.
Thanks, Nick. And for the full tour of that beauty, visit driftsociably.com and catch the full fleet of Mr. Yachts super yachts on our YouTube channel. And now you can get the drift anytime on our social platforms at Drift Sociably, on the web at driftsociably.com, and catch full episodes on our YouTube channel at Drift Sociably. Catch the drift in long form with the Drift Podcast, available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you catch your favorite podcast. Like, follow, share, subscribe, and drift sociably with The Drift, the social place for boaters. Standing watch over the Hudson for generations, this legendary lighthouse still has stories to tell.
Drift Above is brought to you by Subaru of New England.
And now, Subaru of New England takes us above the lakes, waterways, wildlife, and seashores that we so enjoy. Perched on the mighty Hudson River stands a quiet guardian of the waterway, Saugerties Lighthouse, built in 1869. This historic beacon has watched over generations of boaters, fishermen, and river travelers making their way through these legendary waters. Framed by the Catskill Mountains and connected by a narrow walkway that disappears beneath the tide, Saugerties Lighthouse feels like a step back in time. Back in the days of steamships and heavy river commerce, lights like this were essential. They guided vessels safely through changing currents and shallow waters along one of America's most historic rivers. Today, the lighthouse remains active, but its mission has evolved. It's now a destination for adventurers, kayakers, photographers, and boaters looking to experience a piece of Hudson River history. And if you arrive by boat, you'll quickly understand why this spot has become so beloved. The river slows down here, the noise fades, and the pace of life drifts into something a little more peaceful. Inside the lighthouse, visitors can explore preserved rooms filled with maritime history and stories from the keepers who once tended the light through storms, fog, and brutal Hudson River winters, but from the air, the real magic reveals itself. The winding shoreline, the reflections dancing across the river, and this timeless lighthouse standing proud against the elements for more than 150 years. A reminder that some landmarks become more than just structures. They become part of the soul of the water, and Saugerties Lighthouse has done just that.
Drift above more of our amazing coast at driftsociably.com and at driftsociably on social media. Thanks for joining us, drifters. We'll see you again right here next time, maybe even out on the water. It's the social place for boaters, The Drift. For more like this, like, follow, share, and subscribe to The Drift at Drift Sociably or visit us at driftsociably.com. For all of us here at The Drift, I'm Sierra Goodwill. Drift Sociably. Get the drift?
The Drift is brought to you by BoatUS, Sociable, and Subaru of New England.